It's nice and quiet here. Look at this.
Oh, yep, I can hear. Someone's talking in my ear now. Yes.
Oh, is that so?
Okay. You ready?
Yeah, if you are. Do my best.
Okay. Okay, to start things off, would you state your full name?
My name is Joe Engel. I'm born in Poland, and about 30 kilometers from Warsaw, Zakroczym.
And when were you born?
I'm born October the 9th, 1927.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit about your family life, your family? And,
Well, our family, we had a big family. We had 9 kids. I had 4 sisters and 5 brothers. And my father had a little luncheonette store. And it was a tough life in Poland, you know. It's not like here. But we managed till the war, till 1939. In 1939, the war broke out.
If I could back you up a bit, can you tell me a little bit more about your school? Did you go to school? Or?
Yeah, I went to public school there.
Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I went to public school till the war broke out.
And your father you ran a grocery?
We had a little grocery shop, yeah.
What was the Jewish community in your town?
It was a small Jewish community, I would say about 5,000 people. Yeah.
Was it a very strong, active community?
Active, yeah. We had 2, 3 synagogues, yeah. Religious, very religious, you know.
Did you notice much anti-Semitism before the war?
Well, we always had anti-Semitism in Poland. Of course, they always used to tell the Polacks not to go in buy anything in the Jewish-owned stores. They used to beat us up. Of course, not all of them. You had exceptions. You had exceptions too.
Was there any specific incidents with your family?
Yeah, not with my family, but you see, we had market days. Like Tuesday and Friday, we had market. And, you know, they used to come to town and sell hogs, eggs, you know, like a marketplace. And they used to have Polish people coming there, and they used to stay by the stores, by the Jewish stores, and they told them not to go in there because that's Jewish-owned store.
How did things change once the war started?
Well, once the war started, the Poles had no saying whatsoever. Of course, the Germans came in 1939. They came in to Poland. They occupied Poland.
How did that change life in your town?
Well, our town was destroyed in 1939 because our town was near a military base. So it was completely destroyed. Only 2 houses left in 1939.
Where did you go?
We went to Poland, to Warsaw.
Can you tell me what happened once you got there?
And where we were in Warsaw, we used to live with some people there, and the war was still going on. When the war ended, we were there a couple months. It was a tough life. We didn't have nothing to eat. Very seldom we had anything to eat. So we moved out of Warsaw. We went to another city, 50 kilometers, by the name Plońsk.
Was your family with you at this time?
Yeah, the whole family. The whole family went there.
Can you tell me about once you got to Plońsk?
Once we got to Plońsk, 2 months later, they made a ghetto.
The Germans?
The Germans came in and made a ghetto. So if you want to go out to work and do anything, you couldn't go without their permission.
Could you tell me about life in the Plońsk ghetto?
In the Plońsk ghetto, life wasn't too easy then. It was a tough life. We had to stay in the line for ration, for food. The little food what they give us was just to live, you know.
Where did you live in the ghetto?
We used to live, you see, they took all the synagogues and everything else, and the people from other town used to come in, they used to settle them there.
Where was your family living
family,
in the
yeah,
synagogue?
we all together.
You were living inside a synagogue?
We was living in a synagogue. Because it was a lot of people there, you know.
Did you work at all?
No, I didn't work.
Did your family?
My older brothers used to go outside.
What did they do?
Well, all you know, shovel work, you know, building houses for the Germans, highways, digging ditches, anything else.
How were they treated?
Well, not so good. When you had the guards over you, the SS guards over you all the time, you couldn't do what you want to do. If you want to go, you want to step out, you have to ask them for permission. Sometimes they did give you permission to go out, and sometimes they didn't.
Did you go to school at all?
Well, during the wartime,
In
no.
the ghetto?
No,
No
no,
school?
was no school. They had no place to go.
Was there any resistance to the occupation?
Well, over in the ghetto, no. Was no resistance to the ghetto. We couldn't organize, you see. Wasn't organized, you know.
How about how many people were in this ghetto?
In this ghetto was about 25 to 30,000 people.
And this was just north of
Poland.
Of Warsaw?
Of Warsaw, that's right.
Okay. How long were you in?
I was there till 1942.
Then what happened?
In 1942, first of all, they came in, they took all the people to send them to Auschwitz, to working camps. So first they took all the people. They took my parents, my mother, my oldest brothers, and they sent them there. But 2 months later, they made another selection. They used to make selections, you know, older people, middle-aged people, the young people. They never sent families together, you see. They separated them right away. So first my family went, my father and mother. Later my brothers went there. And me and my sister and another brother went the last one.
While I'm thinking about it, you said you had some photographs of your family?
Yeah, I sure do have
before
some.
the war? You could kind of hold them up to your chest so the camera could get a look at
That's
them.
from before the war.
Okay.
That's the,
There you go. You got to turn it right side up. There
this
you go.
way.
Okay. Yeah. What's the one with the two?
That's me and my youngest brother.
And when was that taken?
That was taken 1939. And this one is the whole family.
Okay, so it's all your brothers and sisters?
All, yeah, we all. Of course, my aunt left. She came to the United States. So we had a picnic. We went out and we all got pictures, taking pictures.
So when they took your parents first out of the ghetto
The
to
ghetto.
Auschwitz,
And well, nobody knows where they sent them. They could send them to Treblinka, Majdanek, any place, you see.
and
So-
this was how long before you?
That was about 2 months before.
And
before
what
they sent
happened
me.
when they?
So when by the end, they took the rest of the people who were in the ghetto, and they put us on trains, and they sent us to Birkenau.
Tell me about the trip to Birkenau.
Oh, it took us about 4 days. You know, the cattle trains, open cattle trains. They shipped us over there. When we came to Birkenau, let's see, the last was about 1,000 people. So they selected about 250 people out of the 1,000. And the rest of them, they sent them to the gas chambers. Then, when I came there in 42, they did not have gas chambers yet. They was in process building them. So what they done, they digged some big holes, and they took the whole families, and they threw them in the grave. And they took some gas, canisters of gas, and later they took a match, and that's the way they disappeared.
So this is what was happening when you came?
Yeah, that was in 42, because I was one of the first Jews from Poland coming to Birkenau.
Was any family member with you when you came, or
no, I had two brothers before came there, and they survived, and they were in Birkenau, because I didn't know nothing about them, and they didn't know nothing about me. So I was in Birkenau for 2 weeks. I was there, and that was before Christmas, and time was bad, because in Birkenau the mud was 4 or 5 feet high. So then they sent me to a quarantine to Buna. And from Buna, I was there in Buna. I was a couple of weeks, and I was a youngster, so they came and they select some people, young people, to go to Moorschule. A Moorschule, that means a bricklayer's school for the young ones. So they took me to the bricklaying school, and I was there about 6, 8 months. And for somehow it was good, because it was inside. I didn't have to go out work on commandos outside. And it wasn't good, but it was better than to work in the wintertime outside without shoes, without food, you know.
Could you tell me about your average typical day?
Well, we used to get up 5:50 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning. We used to go outside. They used to have a appel, you know. They used to count the heads if everybody's there. And they used to give you a cup of coffee there with a slice of bread. This slice of bread lasts you all day. And we used to go out, and they used to call it commando, to work till 12. And 12 they gave you a soup, almost potato peels and water, was just enough to live. And we worked till 5:30. 5:30 we had to, sometimes you worked out 20 minutes, 30 minutes, all depends on what place you used to go out and work. So we got in there. They used to have another, sometimes they used to have selections, you know, of the Muslim. You know what a Muslim is? But somebody was skinny, didn't look so good. He complained. They used to select them, and they used to send them to the crematoriums, because they had no use for him. He couldn't produce. He couldn't work, he couldn't do nothing, so they sent him to the gas chambers.
What did your work as a bricklayer?
I was in school for 6 months, in the bricklaying school. That's the school they used to bricklayers, you know. So I worked for 6 months. They kept me there in school, and after that they sent me to work on commando. They used to call it commando, and I worked there.
Can you tell me, did you have any kind of relationship or with any of the other inmates, or? Yeah,
with the inmates who used to live on the same block. They used to call them block, you know, in the same quarantine block than I was. We used to talk. We used to go to. You had to go by 9:30. You had to be in bed. You had to get up early in the morning. You couldn't make noise in the morning. When you got up, you have to make your bed look like spick and span. Otherwise, they used to beat your hell out of you if wasn't in good shape.
Did you ever have any run-ins with guards?
Oh, plenty of time. If you didn't behave, they used to send you upstairs on the roof. They used to send you in the wintertime. They used to knee. And they took some cold ice water and jump all over you. They used to splash you with cold water all over you.
This is if you didn't do your bunk, right?
I didn't do what they told me to do, but they just want to do it to have fun, you know. The Stubenfeier, the Blockfeier, the assess, you know. They were looking to have some fun. So that was their entertainment.
Did you see any member of your family once you were in?
Well, after a couple months, I find out I had two brothers and a sister in Birkenau.
How did you find out?
Well, through people, you know, they transfer people from one camp to the other one. And people who I did know, and they know them, so that's why. That's why I find out.
Was there any kind of resistance in the camp?
Well, we had some resistance by the end of 44. We had some resistance. That was the Sonderkommando. That's the people who used to burn the dead people, you know, the arms, like bakers. They used to have, I don't know if you ever seen the crematorium, how they looked. And the people who were selected to work for the Sonderkommando, they used to change them every 6 months. Every 6 months they used to kill them, or you know, to gas them and get some new ones. Of course, they didn't want to know. People should know about it, you know. But we know about it because you could smell it, you know. You could smell the flesh and everything else from there. So when their time was up, they had nothing to lose. They made an uprising, but they didn't go too far. They're supposed to get some help from the outside, from the Polish underground, but the Polish underground never came to help them out, so almost all got killed. And that was the end of it.
Did you witness any of this?
No, I didn't witness this, but a lot of people witnessed who's still alive.
For the whole time you were in Auschwitz, were you you were a bricklayer the whole time? Was that
Not the whole time. I changed jobs.
What other
After a
jobs?
while, I changed. I used to deliver food to the people who used to work outside the camp.
What did that entail? Could you tell me how that job worked?
Was a better job than an average job because you had leftovers, you know, from the soup. You didn't give some soup left, so we used to go by car, you know, and we used to have assessment with us. They didn't trust it by ourselves. They used to go, and we used to go to deliver them, and after that we came back and cleaned the pots and everything else.
What other jobs did you have?
That's all about the two jobs. That's all I had. Because most of my time I spent in the Moorschule, you know, building blocks for the newcomers.
Do you have any idea how many buildings you built?
Oh, plenty of them. Of course, I wasn't the only one. We had a lot of them, a lot of students, you know, because we used to work with Poles. They used to come from the outside and they used to work with us. And once in a while they used to tell us what's going on outside.
What did you find out? What was going on
Well,
outside?
they give us some hint. They were scared to say anything anyhow. But they give once in a while they give us a hint. What's been going on outside.
How did you get out of Auschwitz?
Well, this was January, if I'm not mistaken, January 1945, when the Allied army got closer to the concentration camps. So they evacuated all the camps, and they sent it to Gleiwitz. They wanted to take us deeper to Germany, you know. So they put us on trains, open trains, like cattle trains, you know. And each side was an assessment watching us. And we was there in Gleiwitz, we was there about 2 days without food. The only thing we got is the snow. Was snowing, was in the wintertime. In Poland, in the wintertime, is very cold. And that's the only thing we could survive by snow. So when the train started to roll deeper to Germany, that was in Czechoslovakia, in Bogumin. And I saw so many dead ones dying on the train. So I said, what the hell I'm going to die anyhow. So I said, I'm going to jump. If I survive, it's okay. If I don't survive, what the hell? I got nothing to lose. So me and another friend, as soon as it got dark, we dumped the train. And the snow was very high. When you dumped the train there, they couldn't see you because you were covered with snow. So all of a sudden, me and a friend, we jumped, and the SS started shooting after us. But we was laying there for 8-10 hours in the snow. It's unbelievable, but we were laying for 8-10 hours in the snow till the train passed by. When the train passed by, we got out. But you couldn't go, you couldn't walk in the daytime. So we had to wait for the next night. So we went there, we went to the city. We went to a train station. Because most of them were foreigners working on the train, you know. They were running the train. So we went over there at nighttime, and we saw them. They said, we're scared if they catch us, they're going to kill you and they're going to kill us. Because if we see you, we're supposed to report you to the SS. Otherwise we're going to get killed. So finally we took somebody in. He took us over there and let us spend a night. And we spent a night, I spent the night, me and my friend spent the night. In the morning they tell us, go ahead, you on. Because we cannot keep you longer here. Because they were scared. So anyhow, we start walking through Poland. And we finally got hooked up with the underground, the partisan. Also, the partisan was kind of hard to get into it because they didn't trust you. They thought maybe you're a spy, you're a German, you know. Finally, they took us in because they kept an eye on us. They didn't trust us anyhow. Because listen, so I spent for 2 months with them.
What was your life like with the partisans?
Well, at least you had freedom. While you was in the woods, you had to freedom. At nighttime we used to go missions, you know, to sabotage trains, sabotage, you know, post office, whatever was valuable to the Germans. We used to go at nighttime, you see, sabotage everything. But it was a pleasure to do it because, listen, at least if you make it, you make it. And if you don't make it, you got nothing to lose. Because so many people who went further deeper to Germany, thousands and thousands, didn't make it. And I was lucky. I escaped and I did make it. And to sit here and to tell the story about it.
Can you tell me about was there any specific raid or mission with the partisans that you can recall?
Well, like I said, we had missions at nighttime. Most of them at nighttime. Sabotage the commandos, German commando, SS, trains with ammunition, and all kind of things.
What was your part, and did you have like a specialty with the partisans?
No, it wasn't a specialty. Well, first of all, I didn't go by myself. As long as I've been there, they still didn't trust me because they didn't know who I was. When I told them I was escaped from Germany and this, and they came, but they still listened. They still were suspicious. They still didn't trust me.
Do you know what happened to the people in your group?
Well, in 1945, the Russians came in, and they liberated us, the Russians. For a fact, when the Russians liberated us, they put me in jail too. Because I had no documents, and I had nothing. And they didn't believe me. So they put me with the Germans. You know, they had German SS and all kind of people. They put me together there. I spent 24 hours in a jail with the Germans. Finally, I convinced them. I'm Jewish, and I was in concentration camp, and I escaped. Finally, I convinced them, so they let me loose.
The Russians did.
Yeah, they let me loose, and I went from there. I went to Poland. I went back to my town. I figure if anybody is alive, we'll come back to the city where he was, where he or her was born. So I went to my city, like I said before, because the city was nothing left. Everything was destroyed in 1939. So anyhow, I met another fella there, a survivor, and I was there for 6 months. After that, they want to draft me to the army. I said, no, I don't want to go into the army. I had my share, so I didn't want to go.
Was it the Russians or the Poles?
That was the Poland was occupied by the Russians.
And the Polish army, they wanted to draft
But yeah,
you.
they wanted to draft me. So I said, no, no. I told myself I'm not going to go to the army. I had enough of it.
When was this?
That was in 45. That was in July 45. I said I had enough. So at night time I escaped to the West Berlin. And from the west I came over to Frankfurt am Main. And I was at the DP camp. Disposed, you know what DP camp? That's people who survive. It's a camp. DP camp. The UNRWA, you know, the Hayas, they used to send packages, you know.
Could you tell me something about, you said you escaped from Poland into West Berlin and then to Frankfurt. Can you tell me about something about how you traveled? Or?
Then I walked most of the time. Well, there was no communication. Everything was destroyed. So you had to walk from the one city to the other one. Luckily, you caught a ride with the Russian soldiers. If no, you had to walk. That's all. And you went from one place to the other one. You begged for food. You know, begged for water. You tell them, let me do some work and just give me some food. And I told them who I am.
How long did this trip take?
Well, the trip took me about 4 weeks.
To get to Berlin?
No, I'm talking from the occupation to Poland took me about 2 months. From Poland to West Germany it took me about 4 days.
Okay. Well, what happened once you got to the DP camp?
Well, I went to the border guard and I told them about it, and they let me in to West Berlin. From West Berlin, I got in touch with some people. I went to West Germany. In West Germany, I find some people I know. And I told them who I am. And of course, they want the camp too.
Did you see any? Was there any of your family left? Did you find any?
Well, I find my sister. I heard about it. She was in Bergen-Belsen camp. She was there. So I went there to Bergen-Belsen to see her there. And she came back. We both came back to Bergen-Belsen was occupied by the English. Was a camp too.
Mm-hmm.
So we came back to the west side, to the West Germany.
Did you find out what happened to any of your other family?
No. Well, if they didn't came in the first 5-6 months, none of them survived.
So your sister was the only one.
Sister and I got 2 brothers besides me survived.
What was their story? How did they survive?
Well, they survived. They survived. They went to Mauthausen, Dachausen, Schlossenberg. They went all over, and they got liberated. I think in May. The last ones, they got liberated.
Well, how did you come to America?
Well, I came to America and I know I had relatives. So, and my cousin was in the army in Germany. He was a lieutenant, and he was an American born. but he was in the American Army, in the Second War. So he knows he had family there. So he went to look for us to Zakrochim. So he couldn't find us there. And I find out we got family here through the Highest. You know, the Highest, that's a Jewish organization. I went to them and I told them who I am to get in touch. I got family in the United States. I just didn't know where, but I know I got family. So they find out I had family in Charleston, South Carolina. So they sent affidavits for me. Of course, with the affidavits took 6 to 8 months.
When was this now?
I came to the United States in 1949, in March the 13th, 1949. I came to New Orleans. And from New Orleans, they shipped me over to Charleston, South Carolina.
Charleston, what did you do once you got to Charleston?
Well, I'm telling you, I was miserable here. I had nobody to talk to. I couldn't speak English, and nobody else could speak Jewish, so I was a lonely man here.
So how did you get by?
I get by, you know. Some of them could speak a few words, you know. So I got by, but I got tired here, so I went to New York for a couple of weeks, a couple of months.
You had family in New York?
My sister went to New York.
Where did your brothers go?
My brothers went to they were in New York too.
And when did they?
Of course, I came before there. My sister came before me, and I came after my sister. And the two brothers came much later than I came.
And what did you do in Charleston once you got?
Well, when I came to Charleston, first time I done nothing. Later I went to New York. My aunt come for me. She said, "Okay, stay here." So, you know, I had no profession. I had nothing. So she told me about, why don't you become a peddler? So I peddled for a couple of months, and I just didn't like it.
What did you peddle?
Well, you know, clothes, everything else, you know, goods, all kind of goods, knocking the door if they want to buy it. I hardly could speak, so, you know. So I didn't like it. So I left, I went back to New York. I went back to New York. I used to work in a slaughterhouse, in a pickled factory, all kind of things, whatever you could find, just to make a living. You know, and it was okay. Listen, so long as I was healthy and I could work to make a living, I didn't mind a bit. So after this, my aunt came back to Charles and said, "Joe, that's not for you. Let me take you back down south." She took me down south, and I'm here, and I'm happy.
And you went into dry cleaning?
I went into, and I became a CPA, cleaning, pressing, and alteration. Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to add to anything you've said?
Well, we got a lot. It's a long. If I would tell you everything, it would take us all night long.
Is there anything in particular you'd like to say?
Well,
something to tell, something that happened?
What happened? The worst thing what happened was in Birkenau. That was the worst camp, I think, in the whole Germany. I remember in 1942 when I just got to Birkenau. Was Weihnacht. That was New Year's, Christmas Eve. All of a sudden, they made an appel. They called everybody out. They want to count the heads. For no reason it was called. They just want to count the heads. They know nobody escaped, nobody disappeared. So what they done, you know, when they called us for a head count, everybody was running, you know, one on top of the other one, you know, because nobody wanted to be late. Because if you're late, you got beaten to hell. So what they done, we didn't know. They put some 2x4s outside the door. So you didn't see it, it was dark. So you had 2x4s, but this high, so people fall on top of the other one. and they used to stay with sticks and beat the hell out of us.
And
That was the worst thing ever happened to me. That was in '42, and in Birkenau, in the inside the barracks, used to be 6, 7 people sleeping in one barracks together. You never undressed yourself to go to sleep. You're sleeping in the clothes you had. And if you have to go at nighttime, you couldn't go no place. If you had to go, that was my worst experience in 1942. Of course, no day or no night was a good one, but that was the bad one. 10 or 20, 30 people got killed by running out, you know. What they done? Put a 2x4 by the door, just, you know, to fool the people. And they used to stay with sticks and beating the heck. And also I used to see in the mornings, every morning, you know, they had the electric wires. I used to see in the hundreds people laying on the wires. They had nothing to live for, so they went to the electric wires and took their lives. Because the most of us, they didn't have. We had no willpower. Very few. The young people had a little bit of willpower, but the people, all the people who were married, they had families. They took away their families. They separated their kids. So they figured they had nothing to live for. So they execute themselves.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Well, I want to thank the United States. They brought me here for their freedom, for the opportunity they give me to work, and to make something out of myself.
Okay, terrific.
What else can I say? That's enough.
I guess, okay. Okay.